Do you hear that? Wait, hold on. I can nail this. That's one of the notes. It's in here somewhere. Whatever. I'm just here to curl my hair before I go to bed because I'm like that. Tell me more about this audience chromatic thing. I heard the audience went chromatic instead of diatonic. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. Which is so trippy, by the way. Because let me just point out, like, if you went chromatic, you went down a half step. You went, right? Instead of going, right? So, anyone ever been in an audience choir? I want to know, you guys. I want to know if anyone, if you join, let me know. Has anyone been in Jacob Collier's audience choir? Please let me know. Please let me know. If you have been in the audience choir, please bring it to my attention. Okay? For some reason, the audience was chromatic. I've just seen a lot of, sorry, I know the acoustics in here are difficult to balance. Let's see, if I bring my guitar in here, I can tune the bathroom, but why would I do that? What would I even tune it with? Probably, I don't know, the national anthem. Right? Or something. I don't know. What's the song? What does my bathroom sound like? Because I gotta tune it, I guess. I gotta tune my bathroom. Hi. It's good to see people. It's good to see you guys. I've heard rumors of a chromatic audience. So please tell me if you're chromatic, let me know. Let me know. Can you hear my bathroom? Why is it? I don't understand how to tune my bathroom. You guys have to let me know. What does it sound like? Hi from India. That's cool. Hi from California. Hi from California. Sorry, my bathroom is out of tune. Also, I'm just here straightening my hair, and I just cannot for the life of me get it to stay straight. Don't know why. Don't know why. Don't know why. I think those are two songs. Don't know why. Am I right? Yes, don't know why I didn't come. And I think the other one is Sticks and Stones. I think it's something like that, but whatever. Whatever, bro. Anyway, heard rumors about this. I've heard rumors about an audience choir shenanigan. We'll call it a shenanigan, okay? Shenanigan. I love that. I love. See, is that chromatic? Is that chromatic? Or diatonic? Let me know. Let me know. Is it chromatic? Thank you. Beautiful smile. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful smile. I'm trying to tune my bathroom. So if anyone has any ideas how I can do that, please let me know. Please let me know how I can tune my bathroom. I'm from California. I'm from Northern California, if that helps at all. I come from this weird, funky part of the world. I'm from Tijuana. That's what I thought that said. That's so cool. I always think, I don't know, California is weird. It's weird because most people here of the border. Oh, right? I was gonna say everyone here speaks Spanish. Everyone here speaks Spanish. Tijuana. I've never been. I've only been to like, I think, Puerto Vallarta and Cozumel. I've never been to, I've been to Cozumel, I think. No, but I've never been to Tijuana. Never been. Never been. Have you ever been to California? That's sad, huh? Parties go crazy down here. Have you ever been to California? If so, which part? Which part? Okay, I'm not gonna straighten my whole... What a handsome young boy. What do you mean by that? Because thank you. And also, San Bernardino. We have missions all over California. We have, and I like the missions, I guess. Most of them are, I think, non-operational, or they are like on college campuses. Like, I can't think of one. I think there's a mission in Santa Clara, I think. And yeah, they're all over California. That's the best reply I've gotten yet. I got you, bro. I got you. You know what I don't have, though, is the back of my hair. I've been trying to get the back for so long. Anyway, I heard rumors about an audience choir coming to San Francisco. I heard rumors about this. I heard rumors about an audience choir coming to San Francisco. I'm 22. How do we feel about that? I'm 22. Oh. Most days. Most days. Some days I am 34. Some days I'm 22. Some days I am 17, and some days I am like 40 or something, but today in Clear Lake, that's cool. That's kind of the vibe. I'm kind of a Clear Lake girly. Kinda. We value lakes in California. We value lakes. Damn, you don't like 22. I was set up. It's Taylor Swift's fault. It was set up. And I don't know about you, I'm feeling 22. So, he passed away in 2022. San Francisco is a bowl of diarrhea. Trust me, I worked there for 8 years. I'm also really sorry to hear about that. It's a really tough situation, and that part of the world is really confusing to be in, so I get it. I get it. Fires. Yeah. Napa. The Napa fire, I think, was a big one in California. We're not big into like tornadoes or like hurricanes, but I was in San Francisco and a freaking storm passed through, and I was like, dude, the storm came out of nowhere. That's why I was like, what the hell? I'll be walking around. This is such a California thing. I will literally be walking around and a freaking like whirlpool or like tornado or something will just start spinning. And I'm like, what? Am I the only one seeing this? Am I tripping? The answer is no, probably not, but tweakers start them fire. That's what I've heard. I don't know. I feel like that's another big problem that we have as people. We just have not, like, I don't mean to say that other languages, you know, I don't mean to say that other languages don't have a way to avoid like cursing or swearing or whatever, but moderation, like, I'll speak in Spanish, but often, actually, recently, as I've been practicing my Spanish, I keep saying that one quote that's like, "Chúpame Luca." Cabrón. But I don't mean to curse in Spanish, so sorry. Oh, see. I don't know. Everyone in California speaks Spanish, so I mean, before I started like speaking fluent Spanish, I was speaking French and like Portuguese, and my first instrument was the flute. I just think that's cool. But si hablas español. Un poquito. I can understand parts of Spanish. I grew up in California, so most of, again, like most of California speaks Spanish. Maybe except for Clear Lake. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Clear Lake speaks. Sorry, I just realized. But most of California speaks Spanish. I'm sure many parts of California speak. We speak. There's a lot of like. There's a lot of. Oh, my French. I had a teacher that spoke French. I had teachers that spoke French. Most of them lived overseas and then came back here to teach French. And so when I first started high school, everyone was speaking French. And then you'd walk around and be like, "Je parle François. Et tu parles François? Comment ça va? Ça va bien, merci." I spent like 4 years doing that. Comment ça va? Comment ça va, Sydney? Ça va bien, merci. Merci beaucoup. Yeah, I was studying French for a long time. lots of studying mathematics and stuff, music and stuff. I spent a long time studying. And that's like the one thing I wanted to be able to say when I was in French class. I wanted to be like, je prends François et maths et linguistics. But obviously I don't, oh, I'm still on this. Hey, you guys, don't distract me. I am still on this audience choir thing. What the hell? What the hell? It's coming to San Francisco. I just think it's, I mean, I don't think it's weird. It makes sense. You guys know what I'm talking about. I think you know what I'm talking about. It's this freaking audience choir thing. Chromatic, please. Have you ever been in an orchestra? Have you ever been in an orchestra? Played an instrument or anything? I love playing instruments. My school offered like recording lessons when I was like 7 or something. And I was like, hell yeah, music for life. I was like, music for life. I'm in it now. That's the vibe. That's the vibe. I don't know how, but that's the vibe. I cannot get this back piece to be straight. What? It's gonna bother me though, because if the ends are all fluffy like this, I don't know. I just need it to feel like it's gonna last. Orchestra no, mariachi si. Haha, while being drunk. That's hilarious. I would love to play in a mariachi. I've been in a jazz band, but like a mariachi is a Spanish quartet. I love it. Oh my god, I don't know what I'm gonna do with all this hair. This is so ridiculous. Mariachi si. What instrument did you play in a mariachi? I played trumpets. That's why I ask. I played flute, trumpet. I have a guitar. Curl it. Oh my god, curl all of it. I can't. But you know what I do like to do? Look at this. All these individual strings, man. Like, too much for me. Boom. How's that? It's alright. It's alright. I don't play any instrument, but I tried learning the accordion in the mariachi. In the mariachi? Did you play accordion in a mariachi band? Because that is so epic. That is so cool. You've outcooled me and I don't know how to feel about it. Thought you were gonna say that you sing. Thought you were gonna say that you sing, eh? Do you sing? Does anyone here sing? Eh? Does anyone here sing? If so, what do you sing? Ed Sheeran? Do you hear that, by the way? It's the wind. Sometimes you can hear the wind passing through. I like to think it's like the earth breathing. Which is both like disturbing and very reassuring. Big Hair Rock. I was drunk when I sang with mariachi. I sing drunk all the time. That is true. I'm not drunk right now, but if I were, I'd be singing for sure. What else? What else? Did you see that Jacksepticeye video? That was so funny. Jacksepticeye trying celebrity alcohols, liquors. He was singing. He was tasting like Beyonce's whiskey. He's like, Beyonce doesn't seem much like a whiskey person. LeBron's whiskey, I think. What else? Most of them, I think, were like whiskeys. Celebrities, they do whiskey, I guess. I know Jack has a coffee brand. Jack has a coffee brand, which I think is so cool. And I want to try Top of the Morning. There's a whole bunch of, yeah, I just think that's super cool. Also, that'd be a lot of fun, just making a video and getting kind of drunk. I don't drink often. I mostly drink when it's the weekend. If I'm not working and I'm drinking, it's a problem. Also, I'm from California and everybody here smokes marijuana. So I really try to avoid drugs. It's California. Everyone here does like cocaine and party drugs. And I'm like, that's not the vibe. I'm not into it. That's not the vibe. Oh, it's this back section. I just can't. You can see by the way that it's colored too, the layers. When I first dyed it, it was all the way up to here. And so the back, I think the back had like the most blonde in it too, and then the roots had way less blonde in them than they do now. Also, I have the best mascara ever. I'm easily sidetracked. But yeah. Jazz band. Oh my god. I wish you guys were around for my jazz band days. I was thinking about that. I came out of the womb wanting to be in a jazz band. And when I first joined a band when I was like 6 or 7, I think my mom like first put me in ballet, and I didn't love ballet, which is why I don't speak very good French. But I think I started playing the recorder when I got to elementary school or preschool or something, like first grade. And then I joined my school's like big band, and I played flute, we had guitars, violins, probably like maybe a bass or something, a cello, I don't know. And then there wasn't much like piano when I was a kid. So yeah, I was playing like the recorder and just like other instruments, I guess. And then I joined show choir, so I thought singing would help if I wanted to learn how to play an instrument and read music and do all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, well, singing with a group is like a good step. So I joined show choir after I heard them perform, and I was like, oh my God, this band is so amazing. And they were called the Harmonics. And my school had a program called Music Matters. In elementary school, we had a program called Music Matters Conservatory. And they taught after school music lessons and put on routine spring concerts. And so I first heard our like orchestra, and that's when I started playing the flute, which just made a really beautiful like wind sound. It made that kind of sound. And then I started singing, and this is, I think the song I first heard the Harmonics play was Rockin' Robin. I think they sang Rockin' Robin for an assembly. And then I was like, whoa. I was like, this is calling to me. So I joined the Harmonics, and the group split into two harmonics because the band got so big. So we had the senior harmonics and we had the junior harmonics. So when I joined for the first time, I joined the junior harmonics, and I was like, I want to be in the senior harmonics. But I was like, whatever, I'll just start small. So we were singing, I think the senior harmonics would sing pop songs, and then the junior harmonics would sing classics or oldies. So like one of the first songs I remember singing was Build Me Up Buttercup by the Foundations. And I remember there was like the first sheet music we got, and I was like, do we need sheet music to sing? So I remember learning like, oh, that was helpful. Also, I knew how to read sheet music from playing the flute the year before I joined the junior harmonics. So we were learning how to read like Mary Had a Little Lamb, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, just like 3-note songs. Oh, what's another one? And the Ants Go Marching In, other like songs like that, just super classic. And so when I joined the show choir, we were singing 2-part harmonies. We were singing alto and soprano parts. So the band, my music director, Miss Duranabong, she was our conductor, and she would audition us at the start of each like semester or something. And she would audition us to see if we wanted to sing alto or soprano parts. So she'd come up and she'd have us sing in front of, like, come down. We had this gorgeous, like, what do you call them? Like stands in the multi-purpose room at my school. And so we had this gorgeous multi-purpose room at my school. And we would audition either on the stage or in the bleachers inside this like cafeteria thing. And we'd sing like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And that's so interesting because the one I just sang, do, re, mi, fa, I went chromatic. And if I had gone diatonic, I probably would have been put in a soprano. So listen to this. Do, re, mi, fa. It's so hard to go up. I just go down. Do, re, mi. That's already better, right? Like you can already hear it going up. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That is more what I intended. But I would sing alto parts for the junior harmonics. So all of my sheet music was in lower octaves. Same thing by the time I joined a jazz band. I started out by playing like trumpet 3. That's how big our band was. We were singing, like we were playing, I mean, most orchestras and most symphonies, I think, are pretty big. You know, some people are used to like jazz quartets or mariachis, like we were talking about just now. But every band I ever played in was so big that we always had like bass parts, alto parts, other things like that, you know? So, like, we had an alto saxophone, we had baritone sax. I remember when I first met the baritone sax, I thought it was the craziest instrument. I was like, oh, holy moly, a baritone sax. What? I was like, this is so cool. And it just made the lowest, like, guttural note ever. But it made the lowest, like, oh. That's the sound a baritone saxophone makes. It makes a I don't know. I can't get my voice to go that. Wait, hold on. Ow. It makes a like really low sound. Anyway, bah. That's the baritone sax. And then the alto saxophone, tenor saxophone, and for the longest time, I thought a tenor sax was like an alto sax, but apparently a tenor saxophone is actually a high-pitched saxophone. So it's more like it plays higher. And so yeah, the tenor sax played, and then yeah, pizzicato or something saxophone. I don't know. I don't know. And then, I mean, we have so many instruments. My marching band put on a show one year with a violin solo in a piece. So cool. I was like, oh, and we had a guitar part in one of our shows. So cool. Yeah, our guitar part is super cool. So yeah, I remember we also had our drum line, and drumline is cool. I really grew up kind of around the drumline, like family, friends playing in the drumline. And so I remember it's so hard to pick an instrument because every time I run into an instrument, I'm always like, where am I needed? You know, like if I had to pick an instrument to play, I would want to pick the one where I'm most needed. And I found that to be in a show choir for some reason. I was like, show choir just makes the most sense. Playing trumpet was great because it was great to bond with like some really good friends, which is interesting. I would say that was like what playing the trumpet taught me. It was like, shut up and listen to the music and be a part of something. And then being in a show choir was like having to have a lot of energy because you had to be ready to sing and dance. And then we traveled. We went to the A stadium and and that was like, I think that's like the one show probably that we did. We sang the national anthem at the A stadium. So I remember going underneath the stadium and I was like, oh, I remember in that moment, I just like took it all in. I was like, Oh my God, this stadium is so big and I am so small and I'm just wearing a little A's jersey. I don't even come to A's games. I'm just here to sing the national anthem for you guys. And I like hardly sang that entire anthem. I hardly sang because the pressure was so high. I was like, oh, because I was supposed to sing an alto part and I was like, I feel way better singing a soprano part for this anthem, but it was all about the harmonics, so that was my bad. But anyway, oh, it's so perfect. Then my like final semester at DVC, I was messing around with our jazz band, and the one of the jazz teachers at DVC she's a really brilliant piano player, and I don't have much time to really take lessons and get to learn from her like I really want to. And it's not impossible, but she's a really great piano player, and I think a great jazz director. And yeah, so that was like my final semester at DVC. And no matter what, like most of the time that I was in school, I was always playing an instrument. I just always wanted to be playing an instrument. I was like in French. French is cool, math is cool, the film and photography and all those things are cool, lunch is cool, band, cheerleading, swimming. I mean, just doing so much stuff. L pattern and drum major training and hours and hours of band camp and hours of band camp and rehearsals and sectionals and like competitions. I mean, I spent the last decade, I know I'm 22, but I've spent the last decade of my life performing, doing shows. It's what I do now. I do live shows every day. We're putting on a live show, and it is so exhausting. It's so draining. I was thinking about a tour, and I was like, holy guac. I mean, a tour is the dream, but I just, like, being 22, I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's no way I could go on tour because that just seems like it would suck the energy right out of you. But it also feels, it just how I feel right now. I feel like if I were to go on tour in like a year or something, I probably would feel much more energetic. I probably would have much more energy because that's what it feels like to play shows every night and every week, or how often you're playing shows. That's what going on tour feels like. It's like super exhausting. You pack up a bunch of instruments, and it's just, you have to be so coordinated to get that kind of thing done, to pack up a bus and unload a bus and bring your instruments to the stadium and to the field, and then to back to the bus, back home, unload the instruments, leave at 12 o'clock, make sure you have a ride home. It's so draining putting on a tour. It's so draining. And I was thinking about like the Cowboy Carter tour. I don't know. I'm just like, I get an artist need to perform, you know. I think artists, I saw Beyonce live in like 2014 with my mom. She brought me to see Beyonce. And I was like, and I waved at her once. And I was like, I'm good. I'm good for life. I went to see Jessie. I went to see Jessie, the Jessie World Tour Volume 4 in, I think, last year. If not last year, then the year before that, I went to go see Jacob Collier live. And It was the most amazing show I'd ever seen. I had seen Khalid and Pretty Much and Billie Eilish at the Bill Graham Civic Center, the Civic Auditorium in San Francisco. I had been there like thrice. It can be so tumultuous getting to San Francisco. It can be so hard. It's like the gold rush. It's literally like the gold rush. Like you come to Eureka and Clear Lake and whatever, and or the Hollywood, you come to LA, like coming to LA, I don't know how y'all do it. I don't need to come to LA for any reason. But coming to San Francisco is a whole different thing, because if you're going to LA, you're usually going with a really specific purpose. You're going to be performing the whole time you're there. And then if you come to San Francisco, it's like half performance. It's like half of it is being a hippy dippy, like down to earth, super chill, super relaxed. And then the other half of it is wanting to start be a $10 billion startup, and freaking Steve Jobs and like Martin Scorsese and stuff, or like who do you say? I don't know. The Princess Diaries, and like that's what coming to San Francisco is like. So that was cool with San Francisco when I went to see Hamilton, and I went to see The Lion King in San Francisco. I think I also saw Wicked on Broadway in New York. So I was cool with San Francisco being like Broadway of California. I was like, I will go to San Francisco and take the BART and the Muni, and like just chill in San Francisco. If I'm catching live shows there. But then I realized really quickly, I was like, every time I'm in San Francisco, there's always something happening. And I was like, that's the one thing about San Francisco that is just so weird. I grew up here, and then I grew up in Vallejo. And Vallejo is really interesting because it's predominantly Black, but that's maybe not the truth, actually. It's probably super diverse is what we like to call it. So Vallejo is like a really diverse place. I know you've maybe never heard of. I'll tell you a little bit about it. Vallejo, let's see. I was born in Vallejo, California in 2003. So I was born in Vallejo in 2003. And I spent many, many days with my grandparents in Vallejo, California, and on the waterfront across from the Naval Shipyard in the heart of the Bay of California. And we would go to not only the downtown, like Georgia Street, but we would also go to see the Empress Theater. So every time, my grandparents, they just like to go out on the weekends. And we went to, my grandfather really wanted to introduce me to a flute player and an orchestra and a symphony. So this is right around the time I started playing the trumpet, I think. I'd already been playing the flute. And we went to the Empress Theater. And I really like the Empress Theater for a few reasons. I'll paint you a picture. The Empress Theater is like an old, I think, maybe a century-old theater in downtown Vallejo. And it's got this big old chandelier and these velvet chairs and this wooden stage with a pit for the orchestra. And when I went to the last show I did at the Empress Theater I was in. But many years and many shows ago, I went to go see a flute player and an orchestra. And they just were playing like a symphony, like Beethoven or Mozart, or they were playing some sort of symphony. And I think the flute player was the soloist. And I remember it was the first time I ever seen a conductor. And at first, it was just a man jumping around in front of the stage. And I was like, what is that silly man doing jumping around? I was like, doesn't he know that the audience cannot see around him? And there he was bouncing around. And the orchestra was like moving with him. And I remember being like, what the hell? I was like, this is groovy or something. This is a vibe. And I was dressed all like cutesy cute. I had my nice like yellow dress on. And my grandfather was wearing a suit. I think he probably drove his Jaguar or something. And and I remember we went up. First of all, you get your like tickets at the front of the theater. You walk into the theater and you find your seat, and then the orchestra is tuning, and it's and the orchestra tunes. And you find your seat, and you're like, oh my God. And I think it's so interesting coming to see an orchestra live, like the one in San Francisco. But coming to see an orchestra live at the Empress, it was like, okay, so you think the band is backstage most of the time for a show or a concert. You think like, okay, the band is backstage and they're gonna walk on stage with their chairs and their music stands and their music, and then they're just gonna and it's like, what? No, the band, it's a live band. And although yes, sometimes there's a band backstage in a dressing room, they're not playing backstage most of the time. I mean, like in my high school, we were playing in the music room all the time. Like there was always music back there. Maybe sometimes there was nap time or something and we were like kind of quiet or something. But most of the time, you come onto stage and that's when it gets quiet. And you have to imagine playing an instrument, practicing just to have the like fluency and the skill to be able to play an instrument, and then coming onto stage to share this like energy. And the whole thing, a musician's whole job is to share that with the audience, to have enough space for anyone to be able to come in and join that kind of energy. So in marching band, when we did our competitions on the field, we'd travel to like some part of California, get ready to play a show, and come down onto the field and look up to a full stadium. I mean, depending on what part of the field you're on, if you're on the back half of the field facing the away side, you're, it just depends. But if you're like facing a full stadium of people, my band director would say, point your bell up. And it's just great advice in general, point your bell up. But they were in the box. And so we have a box, which is where I work, by the way. We call it a tech booth. And say that the booth at the stands at my high school is where my director would be looking down, calling out instructions for us on the field. And we had our drill all marched like X's that would just point to from point A to point B. We spent hours learning how to march in a straight line and using your peripherals to see right, see left, being able to rise and fall as a band together, being able to breathe together and march together. Like we spent summers doing that. Mom? Question mark? Someone says mom question mark. But when you get onto the field, I love this feeling. It's such a feeling that it's a crazy feeling. But one of the things about an audience is if I can't see you, you can't see me. And coming down to like any sort of audience with a full stadium, if you're there to perform, if you know, you point your bell to the audience and then you're like, got it. There they are. Sometimes everyone's like, I'm looking for my mom in the audience. I'm looking for my parents in the audience. And it's always like they're hard to find. They're hard to find when they're in the audience. On stage, people are easier to find. It can be easier to see people on stage. But sitting in the audience, it's like, whoa, this is crazy energy. Crazy. So that's, I mean, I just get restless being in most audiences. I am completely restless. And I'm like, I'm either going to take a nap or I'm going to jump around. And I'm just thinking of when I went to see Khalid. I think pretty much the band pretty much was opening for Khalid in 2018 or something, like 2017. We went to go see Khalid. And he was performing at the Bill Graham Civic Auditorium in San Francisco, 2017, I think. And this is around the time we were recording covers, which are on my YouTube channel still. If you want to check those covers out, they are still on my YouTube channel. And so we went to go see Khalid, the Great, perform live. And he had dancers, and it was kind of like going to a rave. We call it a concert. It was a show. I don't know what it was. It was a vibe. It was a vibe for sure. But I was like, what the hell? What the hell? I got there. First of all, it was so tumultuous getting to San Francisco. It was so hard. We got there, and Bill Graham will have San Francisco streets shut down for like hours. Like most of the time, there's a show going on there, and it's like right in front of like the like Treasury or something, and so if you're going to a show at Bill Graham and you're not performing, you're gonna go in through security, and if you're performing, I take it you go in through the back of Bill Graham. Whatever. And so the funny thing about being an audience member coming to a Bill Graham Civic show is you're always gonna have to go through like so much security. I don't know why I get the idea that we have a ton of security in San Francisco. Like Outside Lands is coming up in San Francisco, and like whenever I think it's probably about to go on Outside Lands, which is fine. You think you can hear Outside Lands from here? you always have to go through so much security getting into festivals. You always just, it's like security, check her for weapons, check her for guns, check her, make sure she's good, and send her on her way. Like, that's what it's like going through security. And then if you're performing, even performing, sometimes you're like, security? Check the band, check the band, check the band. I just think that's, I don't know, I think that's funny. So, where was I going with this? Audience choir, right. Thank you for reminding me. I'm just thinking about the different like venues and stuff. In California, we just have venues everywhere. I always use California because any other location would be oddly specific and very close to home, which is, I think, quite silly. I think it's quite silly. I've never performed out of state, though. I've never performed out of state. Like, I never went to like South Carolina, the Carolinas, or Florida. I never went there to do a show, if that makes sense. I went to Minecon 2016, and I think I wanted to go to Minecon 2015, which was in London. And I wanted to go to London so bad, but it was so expensive. And so I was like, okay, I didn't go to London, and I was so bummed, but yeah, I never went there to do any like shows or anything. I never went to New York to do Broadway or whatever. Like, I just haven't done it, and it's not completely off of my bucket list, like going to do a Broadway show. I haven't done a play in forever. I haven't done a play in forever. I think plays are fun, but it's kind of like doing Shakespeare. Sometimes plays, they're very draining because usually plays go by really quickly. That's how it feels. So that's why I was like, doing a play is a lot of work because you just do a play and then you do another play and then you do another play. It's like, well, when you're doing a play, usually you want to get very like invested into the characters and stuff. Like, imagine filming Shakespeare. Like, imagine filming Macbeth or something, or Camelot, or like something crazy. And you're gonna get the characters that learn Shakespeare from modern day performances, they get so into it. And I'm like, if I get into Shakespeare, I'm just never gonna come out of Shakespeare. Same thing with like picking up an accent. If I move to London, I am never gonna drop the accent, but it'll take forever to get it down, if that makes sense. Yeah. My first time recording a YouTube video was in I realized I just keep answering a bunch of questions. And then people have more questions. And I'm like, didn't I already answer this? So basically, if you have any questions, please ask them so I can answer them once and be done. That's what I get for talking so much. Yeah, but this should cover my experience with shows. I'm hoping this live will cover my show experience. I don't have to talk about the fact that I perform anymore. It'll just be a known fact, and we can all move on. There's one show though that I am dying to do. One show and that is the audience choir. I don't understand it, but as a kid, it was something I dreamed of. As a kid, it was something I dreamed of. And I imagine many people feel the same way. I imagine that was like something that many 21st century beings, and like I'm just sure everyone thought of this one thing, which is a bunch of people coming together to sing, to unite together. And I'm sure of it because it is so crazy that we're the people to do this. I've been in the audience choir once before, once in person, okay? And it was crazy hard being able to afford tickets to that show, being able to make it to that show. It was so hard. But it was so worth it. Like that was the best experience of my life, going to that show. I was like, this is so surreal. And it was the fact that it was surreal that made it so difficult, because I was like, why is it working out that this is a thing? So when I went to Bill Graham to see the Jesse World Tour in 2023, I remember I was coming with some new friends of mine and really great, very sweet people that I spend my time with. And again, going to Bill Graham, you have to wait through like tons of security. And so we're like all waiting in security. I have my phone, I have my ticket on my phone. And we scan in through security, and it was like, you know, like something's going on here. What is it? What is going on here? And I was like, thank you, security. That's the weird part about security, is that you think everyone should be security, right? Like, why would only some people be security? That doesn't feel very secure. But okay. And so we walk into Bill Graham, and Kimbra, by the way, I sang somebody that we used to know in for a talent show in my elementary school, and we did not get that performance. They were like, nope, cut it. And I was so hurt. I was so crushed. That talent show was brutal. Anyway, me and three of my friends, we're like gonna sing, and we're like, oh my god, we're so nervous. And we sang like, and then I think of all the times you screwed me over. And it was so hard to sing that, because why is the whole thing out of tune? The whole world is out of tune. I think there's like very few places in the planet where harmony resonates. I just think that's the truth. I think that's something that the audience choir has done such a great job doing, is bringing music to all parts of the world so that it's something everyone can experience. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, okay, so Kimber was opening. And by the time I got off work, by the way, I was working. And I rushed out. I was like, okay, I just got off. I'm on my way. And I booked it to down the street. And my friends and I all got in our dad's friend's car to truck to go to San Francisco. And And by the time we got there, I walked into the venue and I was like, wow. I was like, it was a good wow. It was like, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. And I don't think any experience can ever, ever top this. So, I remember Kimbra was performing and I was like staring at Kimbra. I was like staring at Kimbra. And I think this is so funny whenever I go to a show and I just am like, are you looking at me? Even the same thing with like Instagram or whatever, YouTube Live. I'm always like, are you guys actually watching me, or like, what is going on? I walk into the venue. This is a thing. And I was like, so you're real. Like, that's like the first thing I think of when I go live. I'm always like, you're real. What? It's true. Oh my gosh. And I wish someone would look at me and go, you're real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. And so I walk into the venue. Everyone's like, it was like the weirdest thing though. It was kind of strange because by the time I got there, the people, the few people that were in there, they're all in the front of the stage. And I was like, why is everyone like standing in the front of the stage? And Kimber's just up on stage, like playing the freaking like harmonize or whatever. She's like, what is it called? The whammy pad? What was it? The chaos pad, I think. And she's playing the chaos pad or something, and or the guitar, like, and I was like, whoa. And everyone's in the front of the stage. So I feel like I have a few options here. And everyone, you guys are so dumb because I walked into the venue and everyone's like, she can either turn around and leave and go back to where she came from, or go find the performer. So vague and mysterious. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I was like, I should go backstage. I should go backstage and go like do whatever. But I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna just go backstage because I'm sure these women on the cruise ship have been mad for years that I ran up on stage. I'm sure they've been mad for years. But I was like, you know what? It's an attention thing. It's an attention thing. Most words have two meanings to them. And attention is one of those. It's one of the things where it can either be a form of flattery and perspective, or it can be a necessity, a vital and crucial. And attention to detail is one of those things that's like vital and crucial. And I spend all day with people telling me I have ADHD and neurodeficiencies and things, and it's like, do you see the world that we live in? Like, there are so many things you could pay attention to, so many different, like, there's little details everywhere. And to me, I think I grew up thinking that the greatest minds and scientists paid attention to the little things while having one great big idea in mind. And that's what Jessie feels like to me. Like, anyone that has ever heard Jessie is thinking one of two things. Like, you're either thinking of the freaking Jessie World Tour, or you're thinking of the show Jessie that was on Disney Channel that I'm sure they filmed in Burbank or something. And like, I love that show. I love that show. Um, and yeah, that's it. End of story. I love the show. And I think when I was like really young, I was like, I would love to be in a show. I would love to do a show. And I always knew that it meant I was going to have to like take every opportunity to be in a show until I just got to do the one that I really, really wanted to do. And a lot of the times I would come into a show and think like, okay, there's a way that this could be so much better. And I always think like, if I were me coming to help me make something that I love into something I love even more, what would I do? It's like if you're wearing a tie just like this, and then you tie it and you straighten it out and you iron it and you spray it with cologne and you put a flower in it and you pin it to your shirt. That is what I think about all the time. Like, how can I come into any performance or world or show or city and or state or country or continent and bring some bit of light or something that wasn't there before that can be there to stay forever. I just think that that is so positive. And probably how opposites and magnets and lovers and people attract is by like being opposites, like magnets and stuff, how they attract. It's a science and physics, and it's really crazy. What a theory. But I also think it's interesting being able to watch these lives back, because it's like the craziest moments in time. It's almost like proof. It's like if you're doing a research paper and you go watch it back, and it's like, oh yeah, we were there. We were there. We were here, and it was fine. You know? Anyway. Anyway. So the audience choir is coming to San Francisco. And despite the amount of interviews I've seen, and podcasts I've listened to, and lives I watched, and the show that I went to, it's coming to San Francisco in October, and I have a ticket. I have a ticket to go see that show. So I'm thrilled about it. I'm a little worried. I'm not that worried, but I always feel like when I worry, it's up to me to worry alone, which is why I'm always like, I don't know, thinking out loud. And so when I worry, I always think I'm worrying alone, but I have a ticket to go see this show. And I'm like, this is where my mind goes. My mind goes, if I have a ticket to come see this show, I am gonna make my whole life around this ticket, because I'm gonna wake up for work tomorrow and we're gonna go put on these shows, and then I'm gonna do it the next day and the day after that, and I'm gonna take 2 days off to go do anything, and then come back and put on more shows and more shows and do more shows and more shows. I've done shows my whole life. My whole life I've been performing. And I think people think that I've been doing shows my whole life for attention or for other people to notice. And the first thing I thought about when it came to performing or doing a show is that it should be one and done. You come into it, you perform, everyone sees what you're about, and then the lights go off. And there's no more audience and no more crowd, and it's just you and the one person that paid attention no matter what. And that's a feeling that I have I have to wait for. I have a feeling that is just, man, it's gonna take forever for this. It's gonna take lots of careful planning and precision and carefulness to for this to be like one and done. There's so many things I loop every day, and it's not just like music and songs and videos and practice and rehearsals that are looping all day long. It's that once we get it right, it's like learning a skill for the first time. It's like once you get this skill done and it finishes and it wraps and it closes and it comes to an end, and it's like, oh my God, I've been waiting for this moment my whole life, and it was never gonna come unless I tried, unless I thought about it. And so same thing with like your dreams. Like I always think when you go to sleep and you fall asleep and you start dreaming, it's just like an excuse to come up with a reality that you love. And same thing with like how I feel about my life and important things in my life is like, I really want this thing to happen in my life, and I want it to look like this and feel like this and be like this. And at any point in time, that can be the reality, that can be the case. It's just how this works. And it's just like a buildup. I think that's the part about the audience that is so interesting. Being alive with other people, it's like, whoa, this is really cool. But it also just needs to have an off switch. So that's my theory on the choir. I've been live for an hour, 20 minutes, and I'm going to go to sleep, pretty much. Okay, thanks for kicking it with me. I didn't curl or straighten as much of my hair as I wanted to, but made some, I don't know, got somewhere, did something. Also, the last thing I'm gonna say about this is opinions and judgments. We make them about ourselves, we make them about other people. The best thing we can do for ourselves as people, for our hearts and our body and our well-being and our health and stuff, is to always find the good in people. Always look for the good. If you look for the bad, you find the bad. If you look for the good, you find the good, I think. And I'm always looking for the best in myself. I'm always looking for my best angle, my best performance, my best vocals, my best closing and opening. I'm always looking for what is the best. And then, yeah. And when you look for that and you find it, it just gets better and better, I think. So don't be surprised. Always look for the best. Always plan and be careful and be safe and be happy and be loved. And I'm going to go to sleep now. And yeah. Okay. Bye.